I'd like to call to order the Public Improvement Commission meeting of February 25th, 2021. Our first item are the hearing minutes. At the request of the PIC Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC meeting held on February 11th, 2021. Any questions or comments on the minutes? No, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to accept the hearing minutes of February 11th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Moving on to the public hearing portion, our first item is on a petition by Vicinity Energy Boston Inc. for a grant of location to install new steam main infrastructure within the following public ways in South Boston. The locations are A Street between West 2nd and Necco Court, West 2nd Street generally between A Street and the South Boston Hall Road. This was new business on January 28th, 2021, and this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plan, Vicinity Energy, A Street, Necco Street, West 2nd Street, Steam Main Extension, Boston, 25 sheets dated January 2021.
Hello, Chris. This is Jason Clark.
Hey, Jason.
Vicinity Energy. I'm the Associate Director of Engineering. We'd like to ask for a continuance for 1 month at this time to complete handling all the questions that were raised at the initial meeting.
Okay, very good, Jason. I would be continuing until March 25th. Any questions or comments by members of the commission?
Chief, hi Jason, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, Jason, as mentioned at the new business hearing, you are reaching out to any other utilities that are in the vicinity so that your wonderful work will not invariably compromise someone else's assets. You are doing that, right, Jason?
That's correct. Yep.
So that's all I have.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Todd or Robbie?
All set.
Terrific. Any members of the public, and just as a reminder to members of the public who are looking to comment, feel free to use the raise hand feature on this platform or to simply put your name in the chat. Todd, do you see any members of the public interested in making comment?
I see none.
Very good. All right. Then I'll entertain a motion to continue this item until the March 25th PIC meeting.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing item number 1 as read into the record by the chair to the, missed that last bit.
March 25th.
Second. Second.
March
If
25th, 4 weeks.
Yeah. Second. You're muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so moved. Thank you so much, Jason. We'll see you on March 25th.
Looking the gas.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, moving on to our second item on the public hearing agenda, on a petition by 60 Kilmarnock, Boston, owner LLC, for the acceptance of pedestrian easement adjacent to the following public ways in Boston proper. The locations are Kilmarnock Street on its northeasterly side at address number 60-80 northwest of Queensbury Street, and Queensbury Street on its northwesterly side at address numbers 83 to 89 northeast of Kilmarnock Street. This was new business on February 11th, 2021, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Kilmarnock Street, Queensbury Street, 60 Kilmarnock Street, Fenway, 1 sheet dated October 9th, 2020.
Good morning, Chris, and other members of this commission. Joe Capolino from VHB. It's good to be back. We presented this to you last week, but obviously this is a project that our ownership team, who's on the line, is excited about. It's on the northeast corner of Queensbury and Kilmarnock Street, as mentioned, and is an 8-story residential project. Just quickly, just to refresh your memories, this is the location on the northeast corner of Queensbury and Kilmarnock Street, in the vicinity of Park Drive and Peterborough Street, and in the residential area of the Fenway. As this item is the pedestrian easement plan, this is the easement plan we presented at the last hearing. We did not make any changes due to there being no requested changes. As I described at the last hearing, this easement was kind of carefully worked out with advice from Todd Liming and Sarah Lung from Disabilities on how to shape this easement. So, without any further delay, I'll just open it up if there are any new questions on this easement.
Any questions or comments from members of the commission? Todd or Avi?
We're all set on this.
Right. Questions or comments by members of the public regarding the pedestrian easement?
I see none.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion on the pedestrian easement plan.
I make a motion to approve a petition by 60 Kilmarnock Owner LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in the area of Kilmarnock and Queensbury Street in Boston.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our next item on petition by 60 Kilmarnock Boston Owner LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper, consisting of curb, sidewalk, and roadway reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavements, street lights, street trees, landscaping, street furniture, bike racks, groundwater recharge infrastructure, and driveway curb cuts. Locations are Kilmarnock Street on its northeasterly side, at address number 60-80, northwest of Queensbury Street, and Queensbury Street on its northwesterly side, at address numbers 83-89, northeast of Kilmarnock Street. This was new business on February 11, 2021. This is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Kilmarnock Street and Queensbury Street, 60 Kilmarnock Street, Fenway, 2 sheets dated October 9th, 2020.
Hi again, Chris. This is the specific repair plan we presented at the last hearing. There have been no physical changes, but there are some updates to talk about. Since the last hearing, we heard from the lighting department, which has had a bit of a change in the electrical engineering side, and Mr. Michael Donahue is interested in meeting with us. We tried to set a meeting, but he was actually on vacation for a large portion of the time between hearings, which is okay, but we do expect that the lighting department may ask us to provide pendant style street lighting to match the neighborhood style of the Boylston Street corridor, although we are a bit south of that corridor. And, talking internally with our team, whatever street lighting is hoping to do here, I think we can accommodate. It's just a matter of setting a meeting with some of the new personnel there. We formally had direction to reuse the existing street lights, but I don't think that will be how the project is constructed. So on the recordable plans, we'll most likely show new ornamental street lights, but they will be in the locations that are the existing street lights are in, as we're going to be providing landscape furnishing zones along the curb line of Queensbury and Kilmarnock Street. So that is one change that we are working to flesh out with street lighting, and I know we'll set that meeting soon. Additionally, Denise Devlin from Boston Water and Sewer was able to send us their design plans for the water main replacement in Kilmarnock Street and Queensbury Street for 2022. We are close to an approval on our design plans for BWC, but I think we'll be able to coordinate our final water main connection before the replacement dates, and just work with their team to make sure we follow their rules and regulations and coordinate with their contract.
Okay, thanks so much. Any other comments you want to provide on the specific repair plan?
Joseph, PJ here. I appreciate you reaching out to our streetlight folks. I know it is possible that when you went through the articulated process, my left hand and my right hand may not have touched it, okay? But your project is worthy of what we are asking, even though you are a little bit away from the main drag or the main corridor, because it is worthy of you, and appreciate the fact that you are recognizing the worthiness of your project to the immediate surroundings with all the vertical infrastructure which any person can see.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, initially we weren't sure if this project was too far away from the Boylston Street corridor to receive the same ornamental lights, but if that's become clear, our project team has no issue with providing those improvements. And we're already, as we discussed last week, going to be providing upgrades to the underground conduit system to be in accordance with smart utilities for fiber and city shadow and secondary power. So, we just look forward to making that part of the project and providing the best product we can at the end of the day.
Thank you, Joseph. And just for the record, Todd, if the plans can be adjusted before we record those so that the plans actually show, that way we can have a clean board without too much qualifiers. And I appreciate, Joseph, you being leaders and not followers.
Thanks, Para. And we definitely will provide the city details for the specified lights and fixtures and foundation for the new lights. So we'll make sure that gets on the plans.
Thank you so much.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Capolino, thanks for mentioning our comments. We did receive some more comments this morning from the Engineering Customer Services Department in regards to the site plan. They do want you to follow up with them on their comments, and they prefer that you don't start any major work on the specific repairs, particularly with the paving, until you finalize the comments with them.
Sure. So Denise, part of that is the final comments we received from Phil and Lewis. They're predicated on a street numbering form, and we're looking to submit building permit soon. And the process with street numbering is we need that ERT number to finalize our new address, and then to be able to give Phil and Lewis a clean copy of our final plan. So we have been holding off on addressing their final review, but there haven't been any major changes. And I think the paving and sidewalk portions will be in the later phase of our project rather than upfront because of, the typical sequence we'll be following, which we'll start with our ground improvements and foundation work inside the site. So I think there will be time to coordinate that work at the intersection. And we are just kind of strategically waiting till we have a permit submission to give our final BWC plans back to Phil and Lewis.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
Other questions or comments? Todd or Robbie?
Just to reiterate, Para, we will want the final street lighting design shown on the updated Mylars. We'll also want the smart street lighting conduit that is going to be installed by the project shown on those plans, so that we know both where the underground conduit is located as well as any handholds. But beyond that, we appreciate the project working with the street lighting division.
Thanks, Todd. We will make sure those both get on the plan.
Great. Todd, any members of the public?
I see none.
Very good. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item, again, contingent upon final sign-off from Boston Water and Sewer and adjustments made following conversations with the city street lighting division.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by 60 Kilmarnock for the making of specific repairs within Kilmarnock and Queensberry Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Our next item is on a joint petition by DIV 1515 Commonwealth LLC, 1505 Commonwealth Avenue Realty Trust, the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Boston, the Boston Housing Authority, and the City of Boston Parks and Recreation Department for the abandonment of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within Hospital Road, a private way in Brighton located between 1515 Commonwealth Ave and the Monastery Path. This was new business on February 11, 2021. And this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Abandonment Plan, Hospital Road, Brighton, 2 sheets dated September 4th, 2020.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Rebecca Lee. I'm an attorney with Mintz. I'm here with Stephen Davis from the Davis Companies, Rick Latini from Howard Stein Hudson Associates, and Ruthie Kuhlman from Rohde Architects. We presented to you on February 11th this petition for the abandonment of literally a paper street in Brighton, Massachusetts, that we discovered in the course of doing diligence work for the development of a new residential project on 1515 Commonwealth Avenue. Let's stick with this plan. This plan shows you the extent of the abandonment. This is a 1937 layout by the Board of Street Commissioners, and nothing was ever operationalized after that vote. So this truly exists as a paper street, and we're seeking to abandon the entirety of it. On the next plan, which is the abandonment plan filed with the PAC, the area in dark is the area that's on the property owned by our client, an affiliate of the Davis companies, but then you see it continues on to the left and then onto the next sheet and goes through a number of properties, the abutters to which include the Roman Catholic Archdiocese, which is a co-petitioner, the Parks Department because of Overlook Park, the Boston Housing Authority as the owner of the Commonwealth development, and then a private owner of 1505 Commonwealth Avenue, a residential development. So this is a petition for the abandonment of that with the assent of all of the abutting owners. I'll let Ruthie Kuhlman from Rhodey Architects just give you a context of existing conditions and also the project to be built in its stead. I will note that there will be a pedestrian easement granted to the City of Boston acting by and through the Parks Department for a pedestrian path that will allow for direct access from Commonwealth Avenue through the Davis Company site to Overlook Park.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm Ruthie Kuhlman with Rhodey Architects. To give you a little context of the overlap between Hospital Road and the 1515 Commonwealth Avenue site, these are some existing site photos that show the north portion of the site where the paper street is inaccessible to connect through. In the upper right image, back to the park. And on the bottom left image, you can see the site is challenged by major changes in topography. You see the Commonwealth Avenue carriage road sloping down in the photo, and that kind of 15 to 20 foot change in height is happening at the edge of Hospital Road where it connects. So some quick background on the project. You can see here, this is the site plan for 1515, the overlap of Hospital Road on the northern side. It's around a 2-acre site. We have a residential development with around 150 units on the south side and a condo development with around 100 units on the north side. And these are connected at level 1 with some extensive landscaping at the public front of West Carriage Road. This diagram here shows some of the challenges of topography and what Rebecca had alluded to in terms of the proposed connection back to Overlook Park. So if you see here where the dashed blue lines are along the public sidewalk, this is where Carriage Road slopes away from the site and becomes inaccessible. So what we're looking to provide with this project is first a direct path connecting back to Overlook Park that would involve stairs, and then an accessible path that would connect through underneath the condominium building and to the accessible portion of the sidewalk on West Carriage Road. I've got a series of some views just to give a sense of what this pathway would look like. You can see here we're standing on the sidewalk on West Carriage Road looking down. You can see the start of topography dropping off. This is the condominium lobby and then the public pathway through to Overlook Park. Here, as we move through, this is the portion that moves underneath the condominium building. Coming out, you're looking back towards Overlook Park with the integration of some seating and bicycle storage. Turning around, you can see the direct connection down to the carriage road and the kind of amount of steps and change in topography that happens at that edge. And then as we continue further on towards the park. And so that is a summary of project and the proposed path connecting to the park.
Thanks for that, Ruthie. Thanks for that, Rebecca. Questions or comments on this?
Is the path lit back to the park?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, Ms. Lee, are there any private utilities that are within this easement area? Are there any easements to private utilities within this abandoned easement area?
I'll answer that. Rick Latini with Howard Stein Hudson. There's not much engineering to this, as you know, except for we did coordinate with all the utility service providers in this area. The only utilities that are in this easement are Eversource, and we are actually been working with Eversource, and they do have a switchgear there that we'll either relocate or leave in its current place, but they're fine. I did talk to Rick Schifoni, and they have no objections to discontinuing Hospital Road.
Rick, do you have any paperwork that you can supply to the Public Improvement Commission? Because when the PIC abandons, this is not, I think, I may be wrong, I don't think it is just the surface travel. It is PIC may be involved with the easement. So if you could get that information.
Yeah, so they actually don't have any easement rights to be at this location, and there is no evidence of a grant of location, which makes sense because until we came along, I'm not sure that Hospital Road was in anybody's consciousness in City Hall, because it literally was a paper street. So what we've done is we've entered into a letter agreement with Eversource where we acknowledge that they have this equipment there and that it may need to be relocated, and we will work together to figure out the relocation, and that our client will grant them an easement for that relocated equipment. So we'd be happy to supply that document to you if you would like.
That's all that is needed, Ms. Lee. I truly appreciate you helping us out.
Absolutely. We're not going to leave the neighborhood in the dark.
There's a thought. Sorry. Okay, bad PG.
Well, unbeknownst to us, this equipment serves part of the neighborhood as well as this property. So we made sure that our Rick dealt with their Rick and got it all worked out.
Yeah, no, I just don't want the PIC to get dragged into a third-party issue. That's all.
Understood. Understood. I'll forward that along.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lee.
You're
As
welcome.
always.
Thanks, Para. Other questions or comments? One quick thing, is it clear sort of who has maintenance responsibility from Commonwealth to Overlook Park?
We do.
Is it entirely?
Yeah,
Great.
no, the easement agreement is very clear that the rights of public travel are manifested through the Parks Commission, but all of the maintenance obligations belong to the owner of the property.
And as you stated earlier, the parks will have an easement. There's an easement that's granted to parks for that access.
Exactly. When we will go to the Parks Commission after we see the Board of Appeal. That's our next stop next month. Then we go to the Parks Commission in hopefully April. And that's the point at which they will be asked to both approve the project and also approve the execution of the easement agreement.
Perfect. All right. Thanks so much, Rebecca. Other questions or comments from the commission?
I had one. This is Joe Callahan from Property Management. One of the slides you put up a moment ago, it looked like there were bollards close to Commonwealth Ave for that access by Parks Department. Further back, right there, stop. Are those bollards right in the front? And my question is, do you anticipate Parks will have vehicle access to this route, or is this just for pedestrian access?
Pedestrian only?
So
Because
no-
Parks isn't being asked to maintain anything on this private property. Parks has access to its parking lot through the BHA property. So it maintains Overlook property off this parking lot.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One minor thing, and Ruth, if you can go back, sorry, to the previous slide that you were on. I assume that sort of that gray sign, white lettering that's sort of at the corner, it says Monastery Path or something like that, sort of directing people to Overlook Park. Is that right?
Yes, that is a placeholder for signage that would direct. I think it'll be reviewed further as we go forward to make sure it's clear and welcoming. It's just a placeholder for now.
Yeah.
Can there also be a sign at the bottom of the stairs that gets you here?
Yes, there will be a sign at the bottom of the stairs as well.
To your point around welcoming, and I really appreciate you sort of flagging that, is I think it will be important to have people understand that this is a way of public access to the park, and not sort of like a path into kind of a private residential complex, so I appreciate your guys' work on that. I realize that's not part of the PIC plan itself, but.
Well, I'm sure we can figure that out with Liza Meyer in the context of the Parks Commission's approval of the project.
Agreed. All right, any other questions or comments by the commission? Todd or Robbie?
All set?
Any members of the public?
None.
All righty, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make
I
a
make a
motion.
motion,
All yours,
I make
Joe.
I make a motion to approve a joint petition by DIV 1515 Commonwealth LLC, 1505 Commonwealth Ave Realty Trust, the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Boston, the Boston Housing Authority, and the City of Boston Parks and Recreation Department for the abandonment of any and all rights to travel the public may have had within Hospital Road, as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our public hearing portion. Moving on to the new business portion of our agenda. Our first item is River Street and Edgewater Drive in Dorchester specific repairs on a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department.
Good morning, Chief Osgood and Commission. Zach Wasmuth, Chief Design Engineer for the Boston Public Works Department. I'm joined here by Steve Farr from Niche Engineering, I think.
Yes.
Yes, all right, great, Steve. Just give a brief introduction on this project. This is something that Public Works has been working on with the community for a while now. Back, as early as 2011, we had reconstructed River Street, and then we came back a few years later in 2017, 2018, and reconstructed Edgewater Drive. And as we were working with the community, we noticed this intersection of River Street and Edgewater, a very wide intersection, not very friendly to pedestrians, and there were a lot of cars that were parking in the middle of it and taking advantage of all this asphalt space. So working with the community in a series of meetings with them, we came up with several design options. And then we eventually agreed on an option that would work. We had to take into account the adjacent businesses. There's a liquor store right there. There's a concrete company down the street that has large vehicles that do need a fair amount of space to turn in and out of this intersection. So working with all of that, we developed a temporary design, which is implemented out there today with pavement markings and flex posts to test it out. And it had been working out fairly well. So this design that Steve is going to show you is the permanent design that we developed with the community to actually put in the curb lines and everything to make this intersection safer for shorter pedestrian crossings, better sight distances, better allocation of where people can park and all of that type of thing to make the intersection safer. It also has a safer crossing on River Street as well with a median. So, Steve?
Thanks, Zach. Thank you to the commissioners. I apologize, my camera's not working. That's why I'm not on screen. Hopefully you can see the Google Street image that I have up, the aerial.
We can't yet, Steve, but
You don't see it?
no, unless Zach, I'm not sure, maybe it's just me, but I can only see Steve, your icon.
Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah, I can't see it either, Steve.
All right. Let's see. Pictures. Try to present.
Awkward. Todd, can you step in?
It's not letting me present my screen. I'm not sure if I have rights to do that.
Interesting. Todd or Avi, can you give Steve permission to present? Oh, there we go. Perfect. Thanks, Todd.
Never mind.
So Steve, Todd has brought up the River and Edgewater intersection on Google Street View.
Yeah, this is the street view image, and this is a recent photo, and you can see here that BTD and Public Works have installed flex posts and new pavement markings as the temporary phase one of this, which again reduces the crosswalks and sort of implements, as I said, a temporary installation. And what we propose to do now is to formalize and install more permanent features, bump outs in front of the liquor store, and also formalize this crossing and the corner of Edgewater, which we're looking at right now, and River Street is again just off the screen in front of us, to reduce the crosswalks even more and provide new handicapped ramps that are fully accessible. I don't know, Todd, do you have the plan view available, the plans to show the improvements?
I can bring it up, Steve.
Okay.
Bear with me for 1 second.
Great, thanks, Zach.
Yep.
As you can see now, this is again the PIC plan with Edgewater Drive at the bottom of the screen, and River Street is at the top. The liquor store is to the left there, right there, and that's one of the bump outs, and we're going to maintain 3 parking spaces in front of the liquor store. And then to the other side of the street, we are again bumping out in the corner of Edgewater and River to provide a more formalized access into Edgewater. This dramatically reduces the crossing of Edgewater, which currently doesn't exist today. There's no crosswalk, there's no pedestrian ramps at all on that crossing. And so we're reducing the crossing distance from about 130 feet to around 50 feet in that area there. As well as Zach mentioned earlier, we're on River Street itself, we're putting in a median to provide for some traffic calming and shorter crosswalks across River Street. On the opposite side is the ABCD Community Center in Mattapan, which is frequented by a lot of families. So there's a lot of pedestrian access and drop off and pick up in this location. And that's about summarizing. We do have comments from Denise Devlin at Boston Water and Sewer on the PIC application that we submitted. There's just a few comments that we need to address with her, and we should have those back to her in a couple of days. That's pretty much it, Zach. Is there anything else I can answer?
Okay.
Zach, on the, or Steve, on the southeast corner, so it's a sidewalk that's sort of wrapped around as sort of an elevated, or what is sort of the darker crosshatch section?
Exactly. That's an elevated island with, I believe, stamped concrete or stamped asphalt.
It's a stamped asphalt. It's a similar treatment. Actually, we did further down River Street when we did the River Street project like 10 years ago now. But where we have, because of the grading, we couldn't make that whole expanse work grading wise. So we've created the sidewalk along the front edge, and that is an elevated, 6 inches of curb, and then there's a imprinted asphalt that's colored red that looks like a brick pattern.
Got it. And that abutter that's currently there would have then maintenance responsibility for the sidewalk, snow maintenance responsibility for that sidewalk.
Correct. So they'd be and we worked. Originally, we had a sidewalk in the back and then in the front, but we elected to just do the one in the front, so it's not too much of an additional burden from what they currently do.
And it's sort of like angled in parking on the west side, the southwest side.
This side, Steve, it's correct. It's 3 spaces. Sorry, this doesn't have the pavement markings on it, but yeah, it's 3 angled spaces here for the liquor store, right in front.
Got it. All right, other questions or comments on this? Todd, Robbie?
All set.
All right, any comments from members of the public?
I see none.
Very good. All right, March 11th work for you go back for a public hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, our next item of new business is Washington Street, Oak Square Avenue, Fairbanks Street, Brighton, specific repairs on a joint petition by the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority and the City of Boston Public Works Department.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner and PIC members. My name is Katie Moulton. I'm with WSP, and I'm here with Natasha Vance, the project manager with the MBTA. If I present my screen.
Perfect. Thanks, Katie.
Okay, excellent. So the MBTA is working with WSP on the implementation of the Plan for Accessible Transit Infrastructure, which we also call PATI, to achieve full Americans with Disabilities Act's ADA accessibility across the entire MBTA system. WSP is delivering bus stop accessibility improvements in several municipalities throughout the MBTA. PATI Package 1 for WSP is solely stops in the city of Boston. The two locations that we're presenting today are bus stops 977 Washington Street at Oak Square Ave and stop 915 Washington Street at Langley Road. In front of you is the proposed improvements at Oak Square Avenue. As you can see, we are proposing a new 5-foot bump out to provide a level landing and a compliant path of travel up Oak Square Ave and along Washington Street. A new crosswalk is also being proposed across Washington Street, and that has not been there before. And additionally, over closer to Montfern Avenue, we are proposing a level landing. This was brought up by Ms. Cording to make sure that we had a level landing, as this sidewalk is currently steeply sloped. So we have revised this area in here to provide the level landing and cleanly provide a clear path of travel that would remain accessible. As you can see, we are also providing a bus box with an adjacent bike lane and a clear 11-foot travel lane in the westbound direction. That is all we're proposing at this location. If we go up to just a little bit further to Fairbanks Street, very similar. Up at the corner here, at the northeast corner, we're proposing a 6-foot bump out on Fairbanks, again, to provide the clear, compliant 4-foot path of travel up Fairbanks and along Washington Street. The existing crosswalk at Fairbanks Ave is being eliminated at this location. As you can see, it is depositing pedestrians directly into a driveway. And in coordination with Ms. Loon at the ADA Commission, we agreed that this existing location was infeasible for an existing crosswalk due to the existing site constraints and the sidewalk amenities in this location. And additionally, relocation over onto the opposite side was also infeasible, as we have a street light, a catch basin, and a utility pole over here, and the crosswalk would be at an angle that was deemed between the two to be not ideal. So the crosswalk has been eliminated at this location. And again, we have a bus box with an adjacent bike lane and an 11-foot travel lane in the eastbound direction. Are there any questions or comments?
Katie, I have a few. Sorry, Chief.
No, go for it.
Yep.
So sorry, Chief. That's very bad. Katie, can you go back to the previous one for me, please? I have comments on both these screens, so let me just do them one at a time. The Oak Square Avenue, you have narrowed the opening with that bump out. Yes.
Yes.
What's the net opening? Because I don't see the net opening width.
The neck opening width.
Okay. So you need to show that thing.
Yep,
Katie?
we have all. Okay, we do have that on the design plans.
Right, but you need to show that because those streets, just because they are one way, the streets have been laid out for two-way traffic if the city needs it in future, and Mr. Bosman should be giving you that guidance on what is that minimum opening, and I just don't remember what those numbers are, so do show that thing, okay? So that's just a point of clarification. That's one. Two,
yes, sir.
Box itself, are you putting in any different color to that bit of road surface, or what is the treatment there? You're just going to put white lines around the word bus?
Correct. There is no
Sorry?
painted pavement. Sorry, there is no
Okay.
painted pavement. It will just be straight pavement, white pavement edge lines.
Okay, so you may, so this is a comment for you to convey back to the MBTA as to whether you want to paint that area with a color that is consistent with bus lanes to keep people from parking illegally or short term or whatever, so that when the bus does wants to stop there, it can actually stop there. This is a wider conversation between MBTA and MBTA. Okay, I mean, just want to comply.
Okay.
I have no skin in the game other than the fact that wanting to make your bus stops effective, where the bus can actually stop there, where the surface looks red or whatever the bus lane colors you are using, so it doesn't need overly enforcement from the city side. So them are my thoughts. Can you go to the second one, Katie, if you could be ever so kind?
Yep, of course.
So here, you've taken a crosswalk out in an area where you have a prominence. I'm going to assume you are playing with this bus stop is because it is being used. So taking a crosswalk because it doesn't end up in a desirable location is one thing, but how are people going to cross Washington Street in this area?
So there is an existing crosswalk down over here, and there's also one up just beyond Fairbanks. So we have multiple crosswalks in this location, but we felt that depositing pedestrians into a driveway was not an ideal way to have a crosswalk.
Okay. This is again a Boston transportation issue. I'll leave it with Ms. Cording, but the reason why crosswalks are put in place because if there's a use and taking it out without understanding what is the pedestrian traffic over there is maybe a point of awkwardness, and I'll just leave it at that. But hopefully,
I agree with you, Para. I think that what we want to understand is that we have the right mix of crosswalks through this corridor, right? Like, we were looking for another one, so I'm happy that we're getting another one, but I'm not sure that, if we add one and remove one, if we've got all of the crossings we need. So I think that we should take a look at it and whether or not, if this is not the appropriate spot for another crosswalk, if there is one in this corridor.
Yeah, because Katie, it'll be awkward where the Public Improvement Commission, since you have added this to the record, where we are sanctioning the removal of a crosswalk, and then if people are still, if there's a desire line from the Fairbanks Street corridor to this side of the thing, we take a crosswalk out, people still cross, and then something happens, and then it becomes awkward.
Understood.
Thank you so much.
I think to add on to that, I had mentioned in my comments that we did still have lingering concerns about removing this crosswalk, given that it's an established crosswalk in the neighborhood, and folks, especially who are blind or low vision, they know their communities and they know their crosswalks. So along with this conversation on if we can possibly replace this crosswalk to get a net gain, I think it might be important to do some outreach, especially to the disability community, and with system-wide accessibility to ensure that folks are aware that this crosswalk is either moving or being removed.
Yeah, I think that I'd like to echo what Sarah said, right? Like, I think that we're in very active conversation with this community about this stretch and its crosswalks, and even has come up since we started this conversation with the PADI program. So I think that we just want to come back together, because while I agree that this might have been the direction we were going, I think that we want to figure out, if not here, where else a crosswalk is appropriate, because I do think that Sarah's correct that this crosswalk is important to the community, and we're going to want to figure out the best way to at least get them a crossing somewhere.
Thank you. Also, Katie, again, the new width of Fairbanks after your...
Yep, we'll add that as well.
You need to show all of that good stuff, okay?
Yes,
so
we will do that.
The quality of Fairbanks can be maintained irrespective of, let's assume for 5 years from now, Fairbanks needs to be converted to a two-way street to accomplish transportation needs. That opening needs to be of sufficient width. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions on either the Langley Road, or sorry, the Fairbanks Street or Oak Square Ave intersections? Todd or Robbie?
All set?
All right, members of the public?
None?
All right, Katie and Tasha, does work to have you guys come back on March 11th and in particular sort of give additional thought to that crossing of Fairbanks and preserving that crosswalk?
Yes, that works. We will coordinate with Ms. Cording and Ms. Loom to schedule a meeting to discuss what we want to do at this location and present again on the 11th.
Katie, we appreciate that. Thanks so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Our next item is 284 Bunker Hill Street, Wells Street, Charlestown, specific repairs on a petition by Lion House Condominium Trust.
Hi, sorry, I was muted. Ethan Out from Hancock Associates. I'm currently presenting my screen. Do you currently see that?
We can, yep.
Okay, all right, thank you. So this is the rear of 284 Bunker Hill Street, and it's actually Wall Street. And back in 2017, 6 garage spaces were approved for this lot. A curb cut plan was submitted and rejected by BTD that showed 5 spaces within the same garage. And the reason for the denial was the corner curbstones were in conflict with spaces number 5 and 2. And this was a standard driveway curb cut application. Through discussions with Todd Lyman and the traffic department, we come up with this alternate plan that shows a extended, non-standard curb cut opening that would cut across these with the adjacent abutter and have one big, large opening here. So that is the plan that we've currently presented, and we have submitted to all the public and private agencies, and we have reason to believe that there are no outstanding issues with this proposed project.
And Tony, presumably the abutter is signed off as well, and that allows them to access their driveway. Is that right?
Well, yeah, there would be no issues with the abutter next door. They have their own driveway.
Right. It's essentially be one continuous curb cut serving both your building and theirs.
Correct.
Anthony, sorry, just to follow up on Chief Osgood's thought pattern, and this has to go to Mr. Liming. Todd, do we need the consent of 286 or 296, the Bunker Hill condos?
No, I don't think we do. The access to their site is not being impacted in any negative fashion. We're basically just taking their driveway and making it a lot wider.
Awesome. Anthony, I don't know the answer to this question, especially because it is in Charlestown. Is this one-way street? Okay, north arrow in that direction, heading westbound. Are we going uphill or downhill?
It's fairly level. I believe it maybe it's, if anything, it might be downhill.
Okay, but not on a severe slope.
No, not at all.
Okay, because when the pedestrian is now walking through that area, the probability of 5 cars popping out and, okay, so again, I'm going to assume, Amy, you're all cool with having this large, because this is a very unconventional, but trying to manage things, I'm just trying to find that middle ground to ensure the economic vitality of you being able to market your property with 5 parking spots versus the pedestrian interaction on a roadway that is heading downhill. Oh. Amy, it's mostly on the BTD side, this type of a very large opening.
Yeah, I mean, as the name Wall Street suggests, there's some grading challenges that exist out here. So we're trying to kind of find the right fit, I think, of getting everybody in and out of their, subterranean garages.
Yes, and for the record, just because PIC entertains this type of a notion once doesn't mean that we are opening the doors for multiple parking spots to be entertained within a property, inside the property, that translates to a wider opening. Just putting it on the record, so if anyone has any questions about PIC policies or the variances to PIC policies.
Yeah, no, I think they had an approved building and we're trying to make the access to what they have approved compatible with the rest of the street.
Most times, Amy, we don't get to say how many parking spots are inside a building. I don't think the commission.
I think it was approved for 6. I think there was an application submitted and it was approved. I can pull that up too.
Yeah, no, I mean, once this is what they were approved for, we're just trying to work with their garage configuration here, right? Like to make sure everybody can get in and out of it. We're really just pulling the curbstones to the edge of the building.
Yeah, it was approved for 6, and they've only provided for 5 spaces.
Got it. And there's no garage door. It's simply like an open bay. Is that right?
No, I believe there is a garage door.
Oh, Chief, there will be a garage door.
Oh, I guess not. You're correct. Thank you.
So I think it sort of gets back to Para's question, and frankly defer to others on this, about what, like, should there be something which provides sort of an edge to the building or a cue to the pedestrians?
I think there's similar situations up the street all along here. It seems like it's pretty much typical all along this side.
Got it.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for that clarification.
Other questions or comments?
I'd just like to say I appreciate Para's comments about this not setting a precedent for large curb cuts on the sidewalk, especially for very narrow sidewalks in the city because of its impact on accessibility and on pedestrians. So I just really appreciate that comment.
Thank you, Sarah. Other questions or comments from members of the commission? Todd, Robbie?
It's worth mentioning that Jill Zick at the VPDA, in her review of this, expressed some concerns with the width of this curb cut as it, impacts pedestrians along the sidewalk. Though she did understand the constraints that this building has, and there are kind of no other options.
Any comments by members of the public?
I see none.
Anthony, is 2 weeks enough time for you to come back on March 11th? For the public hearing?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. All right, we will see you then.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Our next item of new business is Seaport Boulevard, Pier 4 Boulevard in South Boston, specific repairs on a petition by the Seaport Square Development Company, LLC.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Jody Sanchez from Goulston and Stores, and I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Seaport Square Development Company, LLC, which is the master developer of the Seaport Square project. I'm joined today by Amy Prange of the petitioner and Scott Baird of Niche Engineering. As mentioned, we are here before you today for approval of specific repairs, which will involve the installation of wayfinding and directional signage throughout Seaport Square, specifically within the public ways of Seaport Boulevard, Pier 4 Boulevard, Boston Wharf Road, Northern Avenue, and Congress Street, which Amy can walk you all through. In connection with the project, we're respectfully requesting approval of specific repairs within the noted ways. I know that the areas being considered are actually already a part of the master LMI for the Seaport Square project, and working with PIC's council, the PIC's council, we would like to memorialize the changes as an amendment to the master LMI. Unless you have any questions, I will now turn it over to Amy.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time. We started this project in 2018, so we're very excited to finally bring it to life. We had three main goals for this overall wayfinding program. One is to create unified overall signage to point people to major landmarks like the sea, downtown, the Fort Point neighborhood, the ICA, things like that. Two was a way to brand and identify Harbor Way, which is a really important part of our master plan, that it'll never be a public way in the city of Boston. And three, to unify our open spaces, which were built under the previous master plan developer with a signage program, so they all felt like part of the seaport. So I do want to mention that we've been in discussions with the BPDA on design review, and some of these signs look a little bit different now than they do on the PIC plans, and we can update those final details for the next meeting. But just to show you the 4 different vertical signs that we have, this smaller one, R1, is the park rules sign. This will be located on private property, but again, just to unify the open spaces and state the rules in a clear way. This sign is our directory. It's noted as W2. The map here is an overall map of the South Boston waterfront that has been reviewed by the BPDA, and we have some landmarks kind of below the map. We've designed this in a way that we can easily slide out and reprint the map, which we expect we'll have to do every 9 to 12 months over the next few years. So all of that thinking went into this sign. The third one is called G2. This is the Harbor Way indicator. This will be on private property as well. I forgot to mention, this W2 directory is proposed to be on public property. And this last sign is a freestanding directional sign. It's shown as W1. And this is a sign for pedestrians that is really calling out those major landmarks, as I said before. So sheet 1 of the specific repairs shows the overall master plan. It's important to note that the ones that are numbered in red and bubbled are actually within the public way and part of this application. We have some other signs that are bubbled but not numbered in red because they're going to be permitted with specific repairs for future development blocks when we can more accurately locate them in the sidewalk. So it's just these ones that are numbered. There are 5 total in this application. Location 1 is a freestanding directional sign on Pier 4 Boulevard that'll be located outside of Block M, the Echelon property, right at the entrance to the plaza that's within that development site. Location 2 is a freestanding directional that'll be on the corner of Pier 4 Boulevard and Seaport Boulevard at the Echelon property.
Amy,
Yeah.
Sorry, you're going a little bit too fast for me because right now there are 4 options. 4 options you showed on the very first one, and some were going to be on private property, some are on public. Right now you are trying to get the PIC's permission on the ones that are going to be on public property, and to be honest with you, I forgot which is the 4th one or the 2nd one or the 1st one. So if you could help me to figure out which one it is it the one that is closest to the nice human being looking one?
Yes.
Okay, those are the ones that are going on public spaces.
This freestanding directional and the directory.
Where is the directory? We got 1, 2, there are like 2 things that could be the directory, because another question I had.
Can you see my cursor? Sorry, can you see my mouse?
Yes, I can.
Yes, this is the directory. So this one, there's one location at blocks B and C, which I'll show you. And then the rest of the signs are this freestanding directional.
Right. Also, Amy, you know that we can't be advertising, even directional signs to private properties that have a private commercial function. You can't be advertising, and that's, directional signs. Like, let's assume that I had a 7-Eleven or whatever the heck, McDonald's. I can't be showing directional signs on public space for private McDonald's. So hopefully someone within the 9th floor or the 7th floor, they've all figured that part out. If not, someone has to, because we, the Public Improvement Commission, cannot authorize any type of I should say it like that. There are some guidelines. The ICA might be eligible entity. So just putting it out over there, Amy.
To pause, go ahead, Amy. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, so obviously we have a lot of retail down here. We've not included any of that in any of the signage. We don't intend to, because we want this to feel urban in nature and like the city of Boston put it in, and it's always been here and we're building around it. That's really our goal. So I guess I see your point that the ICA is private and maybe even that the Seaport Common is private, but they really are public spaces. So that's why we're calling those out in particular.
Yeah. So Amy, the people on the 9th floor, they know what.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it like that. It is implied that people on the 9th floor understand the advertising rules and all of that good stuff. Sometimes I just don't know whether those who were familiar with it are part of the review process. There's change of staff and all of that good stuff. Okay?
Yeah.
So,
No, we're working with Scott Slarsky and Mike Nizzo and Jill Zick.
oh, good Lord. See, Mike knows this inside out. He was part of the process. So if you have a thumbs up from Mr. Caniso, then we are all good. And I just wasted your time.
No, that's okay. It's a good comment. Okay, so sorry, slowing down. So this directory will be in the public way. It's one of the locations, and the other locations are this freestanding directional. So 2 freestanding directionals outside of the Block M Echelon property, one at the corner of Seaport Boulevard and Pier 4, and then one at the entrance to the public plaza within that development, the Echelon Block M development. Location 3 is at the corner of Seaport Boulevard and Fan Pier Boulevard, shown here in the street furniture zone outside of, there's an existing MBTA head house and that corner of Warby Parker store. Location 4, this aerial's outdated, but of course we have a mid-block crosswalk here in Seaport Boulevard that leads you into the one Seaport Courtyard in blocks B and C. And this is where the directory is proposed to be, right outside of this crosswalk in the street furniture zone. And the last location is a Seaport pedestrian marker that we're planning to install in the median on Seaport Boulevard. And this is what it will look like. This is at Seaport Boulevard and Sleeper Street. This essentially is the word Seaport inlaid in the granite cobblestone pavers that are there today. We'll inlay it with a tile. And when you cross the street and you stop at the crosswalk, you'll see it. So those are the 5 locations today. Like I said, if this is approved in the future, when the development blocks come through the PIC for specific repairs, we'll include some of these same exact details just in with the regular specific repairs to make it easy. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Amy, sorry, a couple of follow-up thought patterns. Is your target audience a pedestrian, a cyclist, or a motorist? And if it is, once you've sorted that out, the size of the letters has to be a function of whether you are driving and can read that thing at 15 miles per hour or whether you're walking at 4 feet per second. Sometimes I've seen the weirdest sized letters, assuming that I have, a binoculars continuously stuck to my eyes. So please think that. Second thing is light and day, how a sign can be seen within the backdrop of the area. Sometimes when you see signs of this nature, it looks really grand and legible, but you put this stuff out in the open, and some of the urban designers, they may not understand the backlighting and whether it can be seen during daytime, nighttime, and all of that good stuff. Because I appreciate what you are trying to do, which is to, get people from point A to B, okay? But just hopefully they've given it some thought into letter size, letter color, and whether you need any backlighting or some type of lighting to actually see your prominent ones. Okay? So it's like Science 101.
Yeah, these are all intended for pedestrians, which is why we have our very awkwardly shaped man here. But it's all been for pedestrians. It's what it's been developed for. Even this one that, is 10 feet off the ground. We hope someone walking down the sidewalk would notice this at the curb and could see it from a little bit of a distance. Yeah, and we did not want to include any lighting within any of the signage because, like I said earlier, we wanted this to feel honestly not like we installed it. We wanted it to feel like it was part of the neighborhood, so we didn't want it to be kind of flashy or fancy. So we were trying to install it like near existing streetlights, really. So there's ambient lighting provided already, and we wouldn't have to add anything additional.
Thanks, Amy. Other questions or comments on the proposal?
Sorry, Chief, I keep, Amy, these maps which you put, you know, but long time complaints, please have a little dot over there that says you are here. Okay, it's amazing how many maps we have in the city that has no dots that you are here. Okay.
Yes. We'll have that.
Amy, as you're probably more familiar with than I am, there was a wayfinding effort within the broader South Boston waterfront, focused on pedestrians over the last couple of years that Pat Hoey, Massport, MTCA, and MassDOT all collaborated on. To the extent that there's iconography that is just, if you haven't already, if you can connect with Pat and then just see what elements of that can be integrated into this, just so it's consistent across the entire South Boston waterfront.
Yes, we did meet with them last summer. Actually, it's part of the reason why this whole application has taken almost a year to get through, because we kind of made the rounds. So we had 2 meetings with them. I think, I don't want to speak for him, and I'm happy to follow up with them again between now and 2 weeks from now, but I think that they were okay with this proceeding as is outside of that program. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for having this conversation. Other questions or comments?
Yeah, we have some existing conflicts with markings and signage that you guys have installed in nothing to do with this project, but that we would like to discuss and rectify with you and your team.
Okay, I can reach out.
Amy, can you coordinate that? Amy Branch, can you coordinate that with Amy recording between now and the public hearing?
Sure.
Awesome. Other questions or comments? Todd, Robbie?
All set.
All right, members of the public?
I see none.
All right. Amy, 2 weeks enough time?
Yes, thank you.
All right, we'll see you in Johnny then on March 11th.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
All right, our final item of new business is Grover Street, AKA Wyvern Street in West Roxbury, and abandonment on a petition by 46 Wyvern LLC.
Good morning, this is James Gallagher on behalf of 46 Wyvern LLC. I'm here along with the manager and contractor for the project, Gary Martell. Just to give you a brief background on the project, and I'm not sure if I can present this. That's not what I wanted to share. Hold on, I'm sorry.
No problem. If not, I don't know if Todd is able to present something on your behalf.
Just to show you, can you all see the?
Yep, we can.
Okay, that's the street view of the property right now as it exists. There is currently a single-family home there. As you can see, as you look to the left on this picture, there are two new projects that were built in 2017 or 2018, I believe. The area that we're seeking to petition, and I'll show you to abandon, I'm sorry, it's literally a tail that appears right here in the front of the property of what was formerly known as Grover Street. And now let me see if I can share my map, my plan appropriately. All right, can everyone see the plan that's up?
We can now, yep.
Okay. So this plan that was submitted with the petition, we're seeking to abandon this.
One small thing, if you don't mind making it full screen, we can also see ourselves.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
We'll be able to see. Thank you.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay, this is in the southwest corner of our property. The parcel that my client owns here is Lot 2D. This shaded portion is the portion that we're seeking to abandon. It is a tail that still remains from what was formerly known as Grover Street. As it's indicated on this plan, in 2017, the portion just to the north of us was abandoned. This is a very small portion. I believe it's 138 square feet. We have already been in touch with Boston Water and Sewer, who has a taking that's shown in this plan. We have a deed from Boston Water and Sewer to this portion right up here. They still have an easement to use that area, obviously, and but they have no objections. And as you could see from the street view, this area has been as the front yard of this home at 46 Wyvern, and a portion of their driveway since the home was first constructed, I believe, back in the 50s.
And James, sorry, and I think you might have already shared this with Todd, but have you done a title opinion for this?
Yes, it is. It was included with the petition submission, and there was hard copies delivered. I delivered them to City Hall last week, and there were electronic copies that were delivered to Ms. Powell late last week.
Great. All right, any questions or comments on this?
Mr. Gallagher, did you say that this project is managed by Mr. Martel?
Yes.
Wonderful. I haven't seen him such a long time. Hopefully he's doing well.
He is.
How many units? I think he's just next to you, right? I thought.
Yes, he is. He's right here. He's right here.
How are you?
Good to see you. Good to see you doing well. Gary, how many units are you planning here? Just 2 units or multiple units?
2 units as of right, yep.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good to see you.
Wish you well.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Todd or Abby?
We're all set with this one.
All right, any members of the public?
I see none.
Very good. James, Gary, is 2 weeks enough time? March 11th work for you for the public hearing?
Weeks? Absolutely.
Perfect. We'll see you back at the PIC on March 11th.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
That concludes our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So moved. Take care all.